Hey, and welcome to Magic and Intuition 101. It's a workshop that I'm really excited to teach because magic is awesome. So, I think, it's the season of the witch, and I might start this workshop a little bit of a history, going back into history, right? So, everyone knows about the witch trials, the witch hunts, and basically it was kind of targeting women who had healing abilities, who used um, herbs to heal themselves and others, or women who are just like, um, you know, like not towing the line or whatever. And this created like a really big shift, right, in Europe, where that knowledge of, magic, which I'm kind of going to get into, like things we think of as magic is actually rather ordinary. But, the magical abilities of these women got suppressed, right? And then the power kind of turned to the churches. And then after the churches, it turned to like the intellectual bourgeoisie elite, if you're kind of following the path of history. And the theme of this is that like the power kind of went from the individual, like the local folk people, and it kind of got transferred to like these institutions essentially, right? So I just got a message right now. I'm gonna close that. So it's like I think magic is awesome to get into because it's almost like it's kind of like taking your power back. And kind of, and if you think about it, like this, the witch hunts in Europe kind of transferred over to like oppression of other peoples throughout like the entire world, suppression of like indigenous traditions and whatnot, in favor of like more hyper rational kind of views and whatnot. Um, so there's a connection between all of these, like the oppressions of the past and the oppression of the present, and like disconnection between our own magic and the wider world. So that's part of why I'm really passionate about this subject. And if we think of the word spelling, right? The word spelling has the word spell in it. And if you think about if you go to a country where there's like you don't know the language, but all of a sudden you learn some words like where's the bathroom, where's the library, where's XYZ, then all of a sudden like this whole world opens up to you. So the power of words, right? That is a spell in a sense. So words are in a sense an intention, and intention is a big part of magic. How I think of magic is actually a relationship between you and higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It could be universe, God, goddess, Buddha, whatever, nature, Mother Nature. So I think of magic as like the back and forth between you and the higher power. Um, or you don't even have to think of it as a higher power, just like a greater, like wider power, perhaps. Because when you get into it, you kind of see that like the separation, like oftentimes religions think of us as like we're like small, tiny people, and we're just like subject to like this thing, and we have no control, and we're just slaves in the system. And like as you go deeper into it, you kind of see that you're actually equal to like this greater power. So, does anybody who's watching right now, do you guys want to talk about like what your experience with magic is, or like what brought you to this workshop? Okay, I'll let you guys like if you want to share like what brought you to this workshop or what your past experience is with magic, you can just feel free to say it in the comments whenever. So, I'm going to talk a bit about my own journey with magic. I used to be a super hyper rational bro and like totally poo pooing everything that was like mystical at all. It's like, and as you know, anything that we like, if you are familiar with shadow work, anything that we judge is like probably like a part of you. So I judged magic hard, and then now I turn out to be like the biggest witch ever. So my journey into magic it was kind of a long and winding one, I suppose. So it started with following it started with following one of my mentors, Arden Lee, like her journey into getting into magic, and like I really trusted her, so I was kind of like curious, and what she said made a lot of sense. And then I started following these things. I looked into like signs and synchronicities, which means basically getting like signs from the universe, And some people kind of like to say, like, oh, that's just confirmation bias. But personally, I don't see a distinction between science and confirmation bias. That's another thing that, like, I don't see a distinction between like scientific thought and magical thought. I think they can be very harmonious in a lot of ways. So yeah, actually, healing in general and getting into psychology, a lot of that was first informed by magical principles, which I later found like, a scientific psychological explanation for. So it's really cool how like these things can overlap a lot of the times. So anyway, so yeah, I started like getting a bit curious about magic and then saw a lot of signs and whatnot and was like, okay, this is cool. I'm seeing there's some stuff happening. But like what was really what something happened which made me feel like without a doubt like there's like something out there like listening to me. It was I had just gone through a friendship breakup and I was sitting in Churchill Square kind of like reading like this new agey book and journaling and kind of like processing the friendship breakup that I had just gone through and this new agey book kind of it gave me like an exercise to do like how to call in the thing that you wanted to do. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just try it and see how it goes. So the exercise basically just said like, think of the thing you want, and then go into oneness. Um, so I don't know, like however you define oneness, like okay, I'll just go into oneness, whatever that means. So I did it, and then I thought of what I wanted to call in, which was I want a friend that was just as close as the friend that I had broken up with. So then I did the exercise and I let it go, right? I was like, okay, whatever. I kind of forgot that I even did the exercise. I continued on to journaling about the friendship breakup. And so I was writing in my journal, like, okay, that was a toxic friendship, but I don't know if I'll ever find another friend like her. And then I didn't even get to finish the second sentence when an acquaintance of mine had just popped up in my face. Like, I was wearing like this hat and I looked up as I was writing and like there she was, like, in my face. And then we had like an awesome conversation, and then after that, like we had a hangout and we became best friends. And then so the time between me doing the exercise and her showing up was like 10 minutes, and after that, like I just couldn't deny that magic existed. The thing is, though, like you have to be careful what you wish for. So as you might recall, like the friendship I'd broken up with was a toxic friendship, and I'd asked for a friend like the friend I'd just broken up with, like as close. So what happened was this new friend I called in was basically another pattern, like showing the same pattern that I had with the other friend that I had before. And this time it was just like more intense and it was just like more dysfunctional. So the thing is, magic and healing go together because whatever you call in, it's going to show you like where you're at and what you need to work on. Um, so it's like you oftentimes like for example, common intentions and spells are like calling in a lover and whatnot. And then oftentimes in the process, as you're calling in the people that you want, like you get shown all your shadows and all of the places you need to work on before you get to the thing that you want to get. So in that sense, it's like it's magic can be it has a little bit of a trickster energy to it, right? It's like here's the thing that you think you want, um, but actually here's where you're at. Here's what you need to work on first before you get the thing, and what you need to work on might be super painful before you get to the other thing. So just be aware of like if you're just starting out, that like sometimes it can work like that. Okay, Naomi said I used to judge magic. Oh, that's super cool. Thanks for sharing, Naomi. Yeah, and that's something we'll get into. It's like so when we get into the intuition part, is like sometimes we don't even realize we don't think of something as intuition because it's just so commonplace that we don't even see it for what it is. Um, so that's a big theme. It's just like magic is everywhere. You just have to kind of like tune into it. It's doesn't have to be like a big dramatic thing. You just have to be like willing to look at it like that and like watch for it and listen for it. So like some other examples of magical things that happened to me was like I had lost my phone. I was traveling in Italy. I had lost my phone, and I was just like looking everywhere for it, and I couldn't find it. And like I was trying to use a payphone. The payphone wasn't working. I was trying to borrow other strangers' cell phones, and like it wasn't working. And it was just like I was just trying for hours to find it, and I couldn't. And I was like, and I had like a time limit to as to how long I could be in. I was in Florence at the time, and I was like, okay, well, nothing I'm doing is working. I might as well enjoy the time I have here. Um, And so I just decided to say fuck it and just enjoy my time in Florence as best I can. And literally, as soon as I decided that, I came across a phone shop. Like, I kid you not, I came across a phone shop. I was able to call my phone, and then someone had found my phone, and I arranged to meet up with that person. So, um, yeah, so basically, magic is your relationship with the higher power, and it's also what you put out. So it's kind of like the response you're getting to the intentions that you're putting out, right? So once you put out an intention, then the next step is for you to let it go and let like the universe kind of do its thing. So while I was looking for my phone, like I wasn't like I had unconsciously set the intention like I want it on my phone, but like I hadn't like let it go enough for the universe to like do its part. If you want to take that analogy and like break it down, but as soon as I let it go, then I got what I wanted, right? So, and I'm gonna give like one more example of how healing and magic can kind of like go together. So so the first person I had ever dated, it ended up in like a really dramatic, like fucked up thing, and um, for a while I thought like I should be over it already. Like I should be over it already. Like why am I thinking of it? And I judged myself for like not being over it and still having grievances and stuff because I thought since it wasn't a serious relationship, like I should just be over it. And then like over the course of maybe a year, I had finally allowed myself to be like upset and like get my anger out and like whatever. And then I actually wrote like a big email about like everything that was fucked up. And then like so as soon as I had sent the email, right? And then like the next day, um I had like a mutual friend of a friend was like wanting to stay over. I was in Vancouver at the time, and like they'd asked for if someone could put them up. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll put them up. And then so this person came, and then like basically over the next 24 hours, we had like a really romantic time, like making out under the cherry blossoms and all this stuff. And it was like so unexpected, and it had come just after I sent the email to like my previous lover. So it's kind of so that illustrates like sometimes when you to get the thing that you're calling in, you need to kind of like clear the space for it. So my previous relationship was taking up so much of my energy that it wasn't making room for new stuff to come in. But as soon as I cleared it, then there was space for something new to come in. So yeah, so I think you can see like how healing and magic are like super related and self development is super related. And that theme of like having a clear space for new things to come in, it also relates to intuition as well. Because oftentimes we can't listen to our intuition because we have things blocking it. We have too much stuff going on and too much noise in our heads that we can't discern like what is our inner voice and what is external noise out there. Just gonna drink some water. If anybody has any questions so far, feel free to shoot them. Oh, I didn't even see Dana's comments. Um, Yeah, for sure. Sometimes like the signs we get aren't pretty um, while we're seeing them. So that's real. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Um, but like I had it when I was going through like a lot of shit. Like I got like the Tower card. If you guys aren't familiar with the Tower card in tarot, it's like the card of destruction, and it's just like, why am I getting the Tower card? Like but at looking back on it, it was just like it was so perfect for me to get that because the destruction was making space for like so much amazing stuff to come in. So yeah, that's a good example too. Of like yeah, like when we're as soon as we get rid of stuff that's like not in our highest alignment, we realize what our worth is. Um, yeah, then that can also create new space for things to come in. That's like a great example, Dana. Okay, so I'm going to move. If I have anything else to say about, yeah, okay. So now I'm going to go on to how to set an intention, and then go on to what happened in my life when the tower appeared. Basically, I was just kind of going through like a big rock bottom moment, and I was just like everything in my life had come into question. Everything that I was trying like wasn't working out, and so like during that time, like I wanted things to work out, right? So, but I didn't see the reason why it wasn't working out was because I was trying to be something I wasn't, and I was listening to like toxic cultural narratives, and I had to like let all of that go before the new stuff could come in. So that's why everything was crashing down because it wasn't in my highest alignment, right? So yeah, destruction sucks, but like most of the time, it's in our highest good for it to happen. Um, but I would never say that to someone like while it's going. Like you need to validate the pain. Like it is painful, of course, but like when you're on the other side, you can see it in like the bigger picture and how it has served you. I hope that answers the question. So yeah. So how do you set a spell? How do you set an intention? So when I first got into magic, like I would be very technical with setting spells and intentions. And I think it's useful like when you're first starting out on your journey. But just so you know, you don't have to be super fancy with spells and whatnot. Um, so basically, a spell is just setting an intention. And the more stronger your intention, the stronger the spell is. Um, oh, cool. Painting of the tower. Um, so, and I had a dream of. Yeah, dreams. That's another one. Like I haven't really gotten big into dream work with magic, but that's totally a big avenue to explore, like signs and symbols and whatnot. Like, yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because dreams can be a huge one for sure of like getting hits and messages from above. So yeah, so basically like there's like a mechanics to setting an intention. It's like as I mentioned before, you have the intention, then you kind of like let it go and let the universe do its thing. And there's different ways you can do this. You can be very technical, or you can be very informal, like So you can like write down your intention on a piece of paper and then like burn it. The burning is the act of releasing it. You can put it into water as long as it's like environmentally friendly. You can do sex magic, so like think of the intention like as you're orgasming. There's like so many different things you can do. I've had really powerful spells like done like with friends. Like I had like a really powerful spell done on the blood moon, and we had like flowers and candles and everything. It was very elaborate. So like the more energy you put into your intention or spell, like the stronger it is. But just know that there's like you can even just have the intention like within yourself and in your heart, and like the universe is gonna hear that. But I think it is worth it to have some fun with like the setting of the intention, the spells, and because it's just fun to have the candles and like the flowers and all the things. And it's also you can also sync your intentions up with the moon cycle, which I think is really awesome because you're getting in touch with like natural cycles. So traditionally, like the new moon is for releasing what you want to let go of, and the new moon is for what you want to call in. And like the phases of the moon are kind of like it kind of represents like the growth of the intention. So it's like the half moon is like kind of like your intention is kind of like halfway. Like now that's halfway, um like what does the halfwayness of it require for it to be completed, kind of thing. um you know or if it's like a quarter moon. Actually, I kind of don't know all the names of it. But, like if it's in the beginning stages, okay, what does it require for the budding intention to grow into its potential, kind of thing. Um, yeah, so it's pretty simple, and I recommend that you have fun with it. And if you're kind of confused about how to do it, just start with like a piece of paper, like for example, I want to release my self judgment, right? And then you can write that down, burn it into a candle, and then let it go. Very simple. So definitely play around with that. Okay, so now I'll move on to intuition, which is a really juicy one and something I had a lot of trouble with for quite a while. I'm just gonna drink some more water first, though. And also, don't worry about all the messages. I keep them coming. Okay, So intuition, as I kind of mentioned before, it can be kind of hard to get in touch with intuition because we're bombarded with so much noise and so much messages and so much toxic cultural scripts and ideas and programming from our childhood, and it's just like so a lot of the times when to access our intuition, we need to work on getting rid of some of the noise first, and there's like so many ways to do that. Um, Starting the healing journey and like getting some enlisting some help and whatnot. Um, but just being aware that there's like different that there is a bunch of noise within you is like a major step, right? So I think there's different ways intuition can come through, right? So what was huge for me is realizing that my intuition doesn't come through like it can, but mainly it doesn't come through in like big visions or like a big voice in my head or whatever. It actually comes through in like feelings and like felt sensations in my body, like emotions or a felt sensation in my body. Um, and actually, I realized that in a huge way like this summer when I was doing the theta healing training. Um, so theta healing, it's like a healing modality which is reliant on like using your intuition. And I was kind of not sure how it would go for me because I never got like these big visions when I did these intuitive things. What I realized is that like all of my downloads were coming through like a felt sensation in my body. Um, so so yeah, that's one thing. You can actually look at your horoscope sign to guess like which way your intuition kind of runs. So I'm a water sign, so like water is very much about feelings and felt sensations. So like for a while I was so confused because like I'm a Cancer and Cancer is supposed to be so intuitive, but like I didn't feel very intuitive, right? Until I realized like, oh, it comes through to my body. Other ways, that you can get intuitive hits is like visualizations, right? Or oh, also like a knowing, just like you just know something. That is also a form of intuition, right? Um, or like hearing something, that kind of thing. There's all the different senses that you can, or colors, whatnot. Sometimes it takes like a bit of time to be able to like interpret it. So for example, like I so I mentioned like my intuition mainly comes through like felt sensation in my body, but as most of us are in industrial society, we're a bit disassociated. We're a bit disconnected from our bodies, right? So I had to do like a lot of somatic work, like doing vipassana and like getting in touch with the bodily sensations and like discerning like what my mind was saying from my heart and my gut. So it actually took a bit of training for me to be able to access the intuition because I didn't have as much of a somatic awareness. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So I think like even if like your intuition comes through in a different way, practicing like getting in touch with your body can be really helpful so that you can discern like, okay, what is like my ego? And I'm not saying ego is bad. Sometimes ego gets a bad rap, but ego isn't intuition. It's kind of like what I like to think of ego as. It's like Earth school street smart. So it's like what do you need to do to survive on Earth, right? You need to like have an identity and like these kinds of things. But it's not necessarily like coming from like the deeper part of you, right? That's like eternal and whatnot, if you believe in that thing. So yeah, so like part of like clearing the stuff like the noise is actually getting in touch with your body so that you can discern what is noise and what is just like stillness. And actually I do find that sometimes like my heart and my gut and my brain will have like different things to say. So I think it's like really interesting because there is technically three brains, like the gut and the heart also have neurons, right? So like, you can actually like tune into different parts and like see like what each of them is saying. So I think that's pretty cool too. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give an example of like when I received an intuitive hit. So I was traveling in Salt Spring Island, and before I had gone, like I was like looking at like these natural pools, like little small, like kind of jacuzzi sized natural pools. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to check out. But I wasn't like super serious about it. I was just like, oh yeah, that'd be cool to check out. Maybe I could check it out. But I didn't like do any serious planning to go to one of these like natural pools. And so, yeah, I was about to leave Salt Spring Island, and I was just waiting for my ferry. And I was like walking along. I was just like going for a walk, like what, just killing time. And then like there was like this really interesting formation of like rocks that like led to you down to like a beach. And and there was like a sign that said like no trespassing. So I was like, oh, fuck private property. Like why do people own beaches? So whatever. Like I was like, oh, I want to go, but like private property, whatever. And then like so I just kind of decided not to go, whatever. But then like, as I was walking past the sign, I just got like this feeling in my gut of like just like oh that feels bad to like not go. Like you should go and like um so then like I was like okay I guess I might regret it if I don't go so I'll just follow this impulse. So then I went back down to like the no trespassing sign and then I saw there was actually in between the no trespassing sign there was actually like a path that you could go down. So then like I followed down that path and then it was like it was a beautiful path and like it led down to the beach and like along the way I found like the natural pool that I was like kind of intending to look for and there was like flower petals in it and it was beautiful and it was like yeah so this just to show like how it can show up like for me it showed up in like a like that doesn't feel good like you know it wasn't like a I didn't get like a verbal message or anything but it was just like a feeling in my gut. So I think it can be worth it using the body as a sort of pendulum is fun. Yeah, yeah, that's a great like Raylene is saying like you know like how your heart changes, how your breath, if you get tight anywhere. Yeah, that's an excellent point. It's like if you ask yourself a question. So like for example, decision making processes like um if you ask yourself like okay, if I do this, if I say yes to this and then like you pay attention to how your body feels, like do you feel expanded or do you feel constricted, right? So yeah, that's like an excellent way to kind of like gauge what your inner knowing is saying. Thanks for bringing up that up, really. Um, Yeah. So another thing that you can do is muscle testing. So basically, it's just like you take your fingers like this, and you ask yourself a question. So the basic test is like you say, "My name is da da da." So my name is Dasmia. My fingers go like this. If you say, "My name is Bob," it goes like this. So that can be like another way that you can gauge like annoying. It's like it works for some things, but not for everything. Like I had forgotten like a lock combination, and I was like, so I tried to muscle test for which was the right combination, and it didn't really work. But like for when it comes to like, for a lot of times I'll use muscle testing to see if I have any like beliefs um, that I'm not aware of, and so it's like really handy for that. Then I clear the beliefs and download a new one. It's really nice. Um, yeah, and one other thing though is that like when we're sometimes like we can rely on like external sources like you know tarot or looking for signs or like whatever and at one point in my life I was like relying so much on muscle testing that I was like it was like kind of showing like wrong readings like I almost because I was like not, the example of this was like I was my aloe vera plant was dying and I was like not sure what to do so I used a bunch of muscle testing and basically my muscle testing showed me like the wrong answer so my aloe vera plant was like did worse. And what I realize now is that like I was kind of giving my power away to like to like overly reliant on like these tools instead of like relying on my own inner knowing. So that's just something to watch out for. Is like sometimes like we're like overly reliant on the tools and just know that these are different tools, but like with practice you can definitely get in touch with the like you know like deep down you know you just have to like trust that voice and like listen to it. Um, So like going back to the theta healing, right? That was a really awesome thing. The training was really awesome for me because it kind of showed me like how my intuition shows up. And what I realized was that like sometimes you just have to like a big thing for me was like I wasn't sure like is this my head or is this my inner voice? Like I don't know. How can I tell? And like basically with that it's just like you just have to kind of like trust it. Sometimes it seems a bit crazy that you don't know if it's true, but like just kind of like going for it and just like deciding to trust it and then like you can kind of gauge like is it working or is it not working based on your results but just deciding to trust it and take the leap of faith can go a long way. So what I realized is that like like for example, like I was like channeling a message from angels, and like I was like I just didn't know if I was just like making shit up or not. But what I realized was just like it just came in like so the inner voice is it's like very like it's kind of quiet and it's like soft. It's like not in your face, right? Um, it's like persistent, but it's like it's not gonna like shout at you. Um, I mean, sometimes it can like if it gets to a point where it needs to shout at you, it can do that. But like a lot of times it's like very subtle. So what I realized is that like what was coming through like what I would normally just dismiss as like okay, my head is just making things up. It's like oh no, that's actually it. That's actually what's going on. So that's something to keep in mind as well. There's other things you can do as well is doing a pendulum and like you like for example you have a piece of paper that says yes or no and then you have a pendulum and then just ask the pendulum like which way is like yes. So it can either like kind of swing towards the yes or the no, or you can ask the pendulum like what is yes and what is no, and it will like swing in a certain direction. That can be really useful as well. um yeah. So there's a lot of different. So like with that, it's just like if you sometimes getting external sources of information is helpful, like just to cross verify what you know inside. For example, like the flower thing, like he loves me not. Like that's actually a form of divination, right? So you can kind of like decide, like tarot and like the pendulum and like runes, like all that. What all that is just like, okay, universe, I'm saying if you say this is it, then I'll go for this, or if you say this is it, then I'll go for that. So you're kind of like making a certain rule, like okay, universe, this card means this. Like if I pull this, that means you're saying this, right? So you're kind of like setting up a certain rule, and the universe is kind of working within the rules that you've set out for the universe to communicate with you. That's all these different divination tools. That's all it really is, right? And they can all be like really really awesome tools. Just yeah, just like don't give your power away to it, and just know that the knowing is always inside of you. Okay, so are there any questions? I was gonna end this thing off with some tarot, but I can answer some questions if there's any questions so far. Okay, so I mean, if any other questions come up, then you can just DM me later. But that's it for the lecture portion, and now we can do some tarot. So I'm gonna do a past, present, future reading, and basically how it works is like whoever is watching this, it'll apply to you. It'll be like a group reading, right? And the deck I'm gonna use is it's the Dark Days Tarot deck. I really like it quite a bit, and it's actually the image I used for like this event page, one of the cards. So, shuffling the deck. Okay, so pulling the first card, second card, and third card. I don't have the meanings memorized, so I'm gonna look them up like as we're doing it. But okay, the first card represents the past, the second card in the middle represents the present, and the last card represents the future. Okay, so what I got for the first card is the King of Swords, tilted to the left. Okay. The second card I got was Queen of Pentacles. So that's like the name, the title card of the card deck. Actually, it's the same one, which is cool because I don't think I very rarely get this card, so it's cool. Queen of Pentacles. And last card is Five of Wands. Okay, so King of Swords. Let's see what that means. King of Swords. So the primary principle in this card is mental strength. Skilled swordsmiths forge their blades with a mastery that requires years of diligent practice. Your mind, too, requires a lifetime of stimulation and expansion to ensure its precise lucidity. The King of Swords indicates an astute mental mastery, therefore a sharp sense of self. But this card was facing left, which means so when the cards are in different directions, it kind of means different things. So if it's facing left, it means like a kind of disruption in mental clarity. So it's kind of saying like a need to kind of discipline the mind in a sense. So it's kind of related to the theme of what we're saying here is just kind of like kind of clearing up the any mental noise and getting deep into our heart and gut and our inner knowing, right? So in the present we have the Queen of Pentacles, which means so it represents prosperity and security. You have worked hard to generate a level of financial or physical security, which gives you the ability to be generous with others and to share your wealth in abundance. It asks you to maintain a compassionate, nurturing, and practical, down to earth attitude when dealing with others and your present circumstances. Focus on creating a calm and balanced life for yourself. Be resourceful and practical, dealing with issues as they arise using straightforward solutions that fix the problem with minimal fuss. It can also represent a mother figure in your life who can provide you with a loving support and nurturing to get you through the influences of your past. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know that I logged out. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So the last one, the future card, is Five of Wands. Okay, let's see what that means. Five typically represents like some kind of conflict. Five of Wands. So with the Five of Wands, everyone is fighting to be heard. But guess what? No one is listening. When everyone has a different opinion, but no one is stopping to hear each other out, conflict and misunderstandings will run rampant. If you find yourself in this situation, see it as an opportunity to rise above the chaos and disorder. Take a moment to listen to what others have to say, even if you agree to disagree. The key is to tune into one another and allow each person to make their case. And perhaps in the process, their opinions may become softer and quieter. They may also give you the respect you're seeking and listen to your viewpoint. Sometimes this type of conflict and discussion can be very productive, such as with great group brainstorming and problem solving. You need a constructive environment in which you can test your ideas and have them challenged and improved by others. So yeah, that's a card of like group conflict and group. Okay, yeah. Thanks for letting me know, and hopefully, like if anything gets missed, like it can be resolved later, with the live. So yeah, like it's just basically group conflict and group collaboration and settling differences and working through stuff. So with like these symbolic things, right? Sometimes when I do tarot, oftentimes it's like not really clear to me in the present moment. If I meditate on it, then sometimes it will become clear to me. So like as I'm seeing it, it's just like the past, like we had like mental noise. In the present, we've kind of become more stable and secure within ourselves, either physically or financially. Um, and now, like as we're going kind of beyond ourselves and working with others, there's some things that can be that conflict may arise, and like we just have to like work through it. Basically, that's how I see this whole spread. So that's it for the training. Thanks everybody for joining. It was a lot of fun. And if you want to send me a tip, then you can e-transfer me nerd4healing@gmail.com. But otherwise, I'll catch you at the either next video or next workshop or whatever. Um, yeah. Okay. Dana's saying it's on point. Okay, great. Cool. So have a wonderful Sunday and good luck on your magical journeys. Good luck using magic as an amazing tool throughout your life. Okay, bye guys.